Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. It's the biggest Giants trade of my lifetime. It's one of the most shocking and stunning trades in MLB history. It changes the Giants franchise. And my goodness, Buster Posey, what are you doing? This is amazing.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, hosting this show for over 6 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show. And coming up on today's show, what are we going to talk about? Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants. It is a truly impact trade. We're going to talk about how special his bat is, what position he's going to play, why he became available, player reactions, Buster's reactions, and also the kind of Jeff Passan tweet reactions, and then also what the Giants gave up. Kyle Harrison headlining a package going back to Boston. So this is monumental news for the San Francisco Giants. It always seems to happen when I'm doing something else. I was on the road, headed out here to Tahoe. Well, when I hear about this, I get a bunch of text messages coming through on the road. I had to pull over, and I was stunned, absolutely stunned, and I'm still stunned. The Giants get a truly impact bat in his prime, signed through 2033 in Rafael Devers. Left-handed hitter, right-handed thrower, might not be a thrower because we'll get into that. Debuted at age 20. The Red Sox gave him an extension of 10 years, $313.5 million with deferrals. I think $7.5 million per year is deferred for the next 10 years after the contract. Whatever. That's not the point. The point is, what are the Giants getting here from an offensive perspective? They're getting one of the most, if not the most impactful bats that they've had since Barry Bonds. I would say my instant reaction was like prime Buster and then Barry. Like, those are kind of, I mean, he's not Barry Bonds. No one was Barry Bonds. But the Giants haven't had a hitter like this in a long time, unless, you mean, the best years of Buster Posey is kind of the only thing I can compare it to besides Bonds. I mean, until past Bonds, you know what I'm saying? And so Rafael Devers this season has a 148 weighted runs created plus, just by way of example. And that's this season. We'll talk about the entirety of his career and then the most recent few years. But that 140 weighted runs created plus ranks him, why is it not even showing up? No, it's 148. Jeez. Did I say 140? 148. So he's been 48% above Major League average. And where does that rank him? Well, it ranks him 15th in baseball, right around where Manny Machado is this year. That's the closest player. You're also looking at, it's better than what Juan Soto has done. And oh, by the way, it's just 15th. It's the 15th highest mark in baseball. And the thing is, a lot of the guys who are ahead of him haven't played as much as him. Rafael Devers is out there every single day. He's played in 73 games, which is more games than the Giants have played this season. So I'm guessing that's just every Red Sox game. And he's consistent. I mean, I look at the last 3 seasons, 2023, 4, and 5, and I just look at first batting average, 271, 272, and this year 272. And it's not about batting average. This is on this show, we get way deeper than batting average, but what I'm seeing here is a consistent ability to go out there year in and year out and put up numbers. Like, this is not a guy who's going to just fall off a cliff. This is like a truly impact bat. And then the on-base percentage this year, he's walking almost 17% of the time, which is a super high rate. And among qualified players, my internet's a little slow and not loading as quickly as I would like, but that makes his on-base percentage 401 this season, which is very good, very high. And his slugging is 504, which is also super consistent. If we look at the last even 5 seasons, counting this one, his slugging is at 500 or better every year. His batting average at 271 or better every year. On-base percentage at 351 or better every year. So those last 5 seasons, if we combine them, if my internet will allow it, it's not allowing it, unfortunately. I am in Tahoe. I did not expect such major news to come through, but I actually think I tweeted this, so I've got a little workaround here. We can go to my Twitter, and I posted what his numbers the last 5 years are in kind of a counter argument to this idea that possibly models don't like the Rafael Devers contract, this ridiculous kind of like thing that's going around that, I don't know. I am all about analytics and I understand them to a significant degree, but like, I think that, and I wrote this morning, like, models need to inject more star player, like big star costs big money into their system, because that's not what we're talking about here. And plus, it's not our money. You're getting by far the best player in the deal here and one of the best hitters in baseball for a package that we'll talk about later. You gave up some talent, but you also got an extreme talent in return. So yeah, the last 4.5 years. So this is going back to what, 2021. He's hit 279 with a 359 on base and 516 slugging, a 134 weighted runs created plus, 18.7 Fangraphs wins above replacement. That's about 4 per 600 plate appearances. And he's a guy who sometimes gets more than 600 plate appearances in a year. Of course, I've got an error code on Fangraphs right now, but I did get the walk thing to load. So that's the 3rd highest walk rate in baseball right now at 16.8. I'm guessing his on-base percentage is, it's 7th highest, ahead of Shohei Ohtani, who's right behind him at 8th highest. Shohei's slugging is like 140 points higher, so we'll ignore that fact for now. But any way you slice it, this is just a truly impact bat, and one who would have been the best hitter on the Giants in like any of the last several years. If we look at let's just say last 3 years, 23, 4, and 2.5, I suppose, but the last 3 seasons from 2023 to 2025, Rafael Devers ranks 21st in all of baseball in weighted runs created plus at 133. If we look at like I said, the last 5 years or 4.5, Rafael Devers ranks 18th, but he has way more plate appearances than a lot of these guys. So if we look at minimum 2,500 plate appearances, it's giving me an error, of course. It's not all I know, but one thing to point out as well is that Rafael Devers, I thought he was like more evenly platoon split. He was more evenly split with his platoon splits, lefty and righty, but he's been about, league average when facing a lefty, but just a monster when facing righties. And my goodness, we're going to see some balls flying into McCovey Cove. So what do the players have to say about this? What does Buster Posey have to say about this? We will get into all the reaction and what the Giants gave up in just a minute. And before we do, Today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? Nope, you called the next one. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more, who's handling this? And the AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so I never miss a customer again. You never miss a customer again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Giants listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonmlb. That's openphone.com/lockedonmlb. And if you have an existing number or existing numbers within another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, here we go. We're going to get into much more about the Giants acquiring superstar hitter Rafael Devers. I wish that I'm so sorry, my internet is a little slow up here in Tahoe. I did not know that this was going to be going down. The Giants didn't warn me. I did get those 5-season numbers pulled up, and it's 18th highest weighted runs created plus over that span. The batting average, I just have to reiterate, like his batting averages of 270 something are about 30 points higher than average over these seasons. And so forget 300 being a good batting average. Anything like over 244 is better than average. So if you're hitting like 270, that's kind of what we're getting out of like Jung-Hoo Lee, and then you're getting like the hit ability of a Jung-Hoo Lee perhaps, but the on-base percentage ability of, I don't know, a Brandon Belt, and the power ability of someone that they haven't had in a long time, like maybe peak, not even Buster had this kind of power. And Devers has hit 30 home runs or more multiple times in his career. I keep reading that he averages 33 home runs a season. I don't know exactly where people are getting that, but he's hit more than 31, 2, 3 times, including a high of 38 as a 24-year-old in 2021. And he hit 28 last season, 33 the season before that. He's already got 15 this season. And so very good chance he hits 30 this season, but they won't all come with the Giants. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every dayers tomorrow, we're going to be giving you more reaction to the Giants acquiring superstar 28-year-old left-handed bat Rafael Devers. We'll also get into today what position does he play, because that's a big deal. Right now he's a DH. He used to be a third baseman, but I want to get you the analysis from Buster Posey, Bob Melvin, Logan Webb, and Willy Adames. So Buster Posey was interviewed after the game. Giants, by the way, lost to the Dodgers 2 out of 3. They won the first one, lost the next 2. They're 2 games back in the West. But it kind of just was, nobody cared because of how impactful of a trade this is. But Posey said of this trade of Devers, I think the bat is, this is courtesy of Maria Guardado of MLB.com, sfgiants.com. Posey said, I think the bat is so special. It's really hard to acquire this type of talent at this point in his career. We're obviously taking on a lot of money. We're giving up some pitching. We're giving up our first-round pick from last year. So it didn't come without a cost, but we felt like this was a chance to take a shot. Posey continued, Kyle Harrison is a guy that has tremendous upside. I've been very outspoken about what I believe the foundation of success is for an organization. It's pitching and defense. To give up a guy like that is not an easy thing for us. Okay, I agree with him completely. Special is the word that kind of just comes to mind when you think of the bat of Rafael Devers. It's not just me, it's not just Posey, it's what everybody's saying. We'll hear from the players in a second too. Logan Webb, Willy Adames. You even heard Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts comment on this. Like, this was a trade that sent shockwaves throughout the industry, all the way down to the players, like the shockwaves. Biggest trade of my lifetime by the Giants, and possibly like one of the biggest by any team in terms of shock value. This came out of nowhere in the middle of June. And the Red Sox are playing well, so we'll get into that whole story about why this happened, too. Maybe save some of that for tomorrow. But Bob Melvin reacted and said, this is something we really needed. There's a lot we had to give up to get him, but this fits us perfectly. It's a power left-handed bat, a guy that can go the other way and hit for power at our ballpark. It's tailor-made for us. Kudos to the front office to swing this. And then Andre Soto of SF Giant or MLB.com got player reactions. Logan Webb said, obviously going to miss Kyle Harrison a lot. I've known Kyle for a long time now. Hicksy too. So Jordan Hicks is in this trade. Losing those two guys is obviously tough because we're with these guys all the time, around them every single day for 6 months straight. But that's baseball. We're getting a guy back that changes the lineup. That's not the full quote that I had seen. I apologize. There's something in there where he just says he's super excited and it's just a crazy impact bat, one of the top bats in the game, and he's ecstatic and beside himself, and that it doesn't matter where he plays, like position-wise, because the bat is that good. So Willy Adames had a lot to say, including live on the air on ESPN from the field. But this is after the game. He said of Devers, who he's known for 10 years, according to Andres Soto of MLB.com, both Dominican, Adames said he's great. He's a great guy. Obviously, there has been some miscommunication there in Boston he's referring to, so we'll tell you that story. From what I know from him, he likes to know things. He wants you to communicate, talk to him, and be honest. And I feel like here with Buster, that's all we got. Buster's a super honest guy. He's going to be straight up, and Devers is going to love that. So these are ramifications beyond the numbers. This is the impact. Buster Posey's impact continues to be felt in a way that is not really quantifiable. It's about trust, and that's what broke down in Boston with Devers, and that's why this is possible, and that's why I don't anticipate any problems at all with him here, even though he had problems in Boston. So Adames continues about what this trade means. He said it sends a message that we want to win, and Buster's going to do whatever it takes to put the best team out there for us to go out there and compete. Dominic Smith, who played with Devers in Boston last season, said, I know this is a crazy last few hours, but we got a really, 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 3 times, really, talented ball player right in his prime. Can't wait to see how many balls he hits into the cove. So the players are ecstatic. And of course, they did give up talent. But like, of course they're going to say that, like, we had to give up a lot of talent, but like, obviously they felt like this was in their best interest, and that's why they made this move. And to me, the crazy reaction is the one that like comes from this tweet by Jeff Passan. And this is not a knock on Jeff Passan. It's going to be a knock on the quote models and the quote math that he references in these tweets. So Jeff Passan is probably the most famous and popular and well-regarded, most highly regarded baseball writers out there, and writes for ESPN. And he tweeted this, quote, the Rafael Devers to San Francisco blockbuster has executives across baseball confounded. I'm going to pause here and say, I thought the next line was going to be like, confounded because the Giants they gave up some guys, but they're getting just such an impact player in return, especially with the bat. But that's not exactly what he says. He says, quote, on one hand, by the way, everybody, all the national writers and MLB they're all looking at this from Boston's perspective for the most part. The Giants are the ones getting Rafael Devers. Stop talking about the Red Sox giving up Rafael. I mean, I get it. You got to cover that angle too. But the impact this has on a good team that was one win away from tying the Dodgers for first last night. Anyway, that annoyed me. But he continued, on the one hand, the Red Sox got out from a deal every model in baseball has as underwater and got talent back. On the other hand, a team with talent and momentum just traded its best hitter. So to me, that is just not the main takeaway from this. That's if you're only thinking of it from the Red Sox angle. And also, it's just kind of pathetic that every model in baseball has as underwater. We're going to compare some other contracts and just laugh at the fact, if this is how front offices are operating, they are completely missing the boat. And a guy like Posey is perfect for running this team. Like, because forget the model for a second and look at what you're getting and what kind of impact that has. Like, the Giants could win the World Series. Like, they have good pitching, and now all of a sudden they've got a really solid core of position player talent as well. And so isn't that the goal, to win games and win the World Series? So forget your model. Throw the thing in the trash if it's telling you, yeah, let's give up Rafael Devers because of cost savings and efficiency on spending. Okay. And so the next follow-up tweet from Passan was, quote, "What's clear? Buster Posey is running the Giants to win and win now. $250 million plus owed Devers be damned." And 5 years after the Red Sox moved Mookie Betts, Craig Breslow made a deal he knew would be very unpopular because the math said it was a very good one for Boston. Oh my goodness. So, Juan Soto's deal is probably underwater, and the Mets paid a ton of money to get Juan Soto because that's what it took to get that elite of a talent to sign with you. And so your models and your math might say, oh, that deal doesn't line up with correct value or whatever. But then if you don't do it, you don't have Juan Soto. And so this is just insane to me. Absolutely insane that some teams think of things this way. And I'm so glad that Buster Posey is here to swoop in and take advantage of this situation. So we'll wrap this up as best we can. We got to talk about the players the Giants are giving up in this trade and the money, the rest of the contract owed to Devers. So we'll get to all of that in just a minute. And before we do, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need, delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled pros are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, here we go. We are going to get into the players the Giants gave up. We're probably going to save the drama that occurred in Boston that allowed this to happen for tomorrow. Giants are off today. I assume we may get some more news about this Devers trade and where he may play, which is a big factor in all this, and part of why, probably the main reason why he got shipped out of Boston was because there was drama about which position he played, which started with the Red Sox not communicating well. And recall, this was an issue with the Giants under Farhan Zaidi. Like, it came up a lot with, when they agreed to terms with Correa, they hadn't talked to Brandon Crawford, and on. And players don't like stuff like that. And that kind of thing happened with Devers when they signed Alex Bregman to play third, which was Devers' position. And he didn't like being asked to move off of third, and then he accepted it and played DH. And then their first baseman got a season-ending injury, and then they asked him to play first, and he was like, no, because they had told him after they said, you're not going to play third anymore, that, look, you're just going to be a DH. You're not going to play the field. It's going to be great. You're going to settle in. You're just going to be the DH. And then they asked him to do something different, and it ticked him off. And so, but it also made the Red Sox mad because they were paying him a ton of money, and he wasn't willing to do something to help the team. But you kind of understand it from Devers' side, but you also understand it from the Red Sox side a little bit. But at the end of the day, Red Sox drama is to the Giants' benefit here. But like Jeff Passan did tweet whatever, it's like an underwater contract, which is debatable because we'll do more of this tomorrow. But like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who's also we'll see if Devers is willing to play first base. He's never played first in his pro career. But Vlad Jr. got a $500 million contract. Juan Soto got a $765 million contract. And these guys are also like defensively limited players who are just big time hitters. And so for Devers, it comes out to like 8.5 years and about $250 million. And I don't know, it's like roughly $30 million a year for that kind of impact. And plus, what's noteworthy is that the Giants, and a lot of people are not talking about this, but they traded Jordan Hicks, which to me is like a salary dump aspect of this. So presumably the Red Sox are taking on all of the money owed to Hicks, while the Giants are taking on all of the money owed to Devers. And for Hicks, I think that it averages $11 million a year, but it's 12.5 for the second half of it per year. So he's in year 2 of a 4-year deal and wasn't pitching well for the Giants. And so that offsets a significant amount of money in the first few years here. And so let's not ignore that. But the headliner of this trade from the Red Sox standpoint is that they get Kyle Harrison. And I very much like Kyle Harrison as a player. I like him perhaps even more as just a person from what I haven't met him or anything, but he seems like just a really good young kid with a good head on his shoulders, a lot of confidence, just a good guy with a good attitude. And this has to sting. He grew up rooting for the Giants, and they trade him. But he should take pride in the fact that he was traded as the headliner, I would argue, for one of the best hitters in baseball. And so hopefully he can take some pride in that, and I hope he has a lot of success in Boston. And, Jordan Hicks, it's this year plus 2 more years. I don't think he fit the Giants anymore. They have enough starting talent that he wasn't needed in the rotation, and they have enough bullpen talent where he's not really needed there either. And he was making $11 to $12.5 million a year, depending on how the contract is structured. And the Giants unload that, and it saves them some money that goes towards offsetting some of Devers' contract. And then they also give up James Tibbs III. My internet is completely dying here, who was the Giants' first-round pick from last season. I think it was 13th overall. But, draft picks, as we've seen, it just remains to be seen. Tibbs is having a nice season, but he's in a low level for his age. And so we'll see. Perhaps Tibbs III becomes a really good hitter. Perhaps it's like a Brian Reynolds situation. But this time, you didn't trade a guy like that for a rental of Andrew McCutchen. You traded for the prime of one of the game's truly elite hitters who's under contract for 8.5 years. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. I think it goes through his age 36 season. But you get several prime years before then. And then finally, the Giants gave up Jose Bello, who I hadn't actually even heard of, who is 20 years old, and he's in the complex league, doing well down there. And my internet is not loading to give you more. But he was, it's a lottery ticket, young young pitcher. And so that's the trade. And yeah, so the thing loaded, and he's got a back-end starters mix, according to Fangraphs. Very young, isn't overtly projectable, doesn't have high upside. Instead, he's more of a high-floored back-end starter type. Okay, great. So I think Kyle Harrison is the big loss here, but the Giants have the pitching depth to cover it. They've got Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, resurgence, Hayden Birdsong, Landon Roop, and I think Carson Whisenhunt becomes a factor, and Justin Verlander's coming back, so there was going to be an issue, or someone was going to have to move out. It was probably going to be Kyle Harrison out of the rotation. And down the road, Carson Whisenhunt, he may end up being better than Kyle Harrison. And so in the end, the Red Sox win if you're concerned about financial, monetary efficiency, and the Giants win if you're concerned about the talent of your baseball team. And so that's my takeaway. And that is all the time we have for today. Much more to get to tomorrow. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, my name's Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter or X at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much, so thank you in advance. And thanks to everyone who's done so already. I cannot wait to be with you again tomorrow. Thanks again for listening today. Rafael Devers is a San Francisco Giant. You are now Locked On Giants.